You'll still send the 11,000, right? My sister's text said, like oxygen hadn't just been forced into my lungs through plastic. The hospital ceiling above me blurred as machines pulsed beside my bed. My body felt borrowed, stitched together by strangers who never asked me for anything except permission to help me breathe. Hi everyone, my name is Alara. A week earlier, I had signed forms acknowledging the possibility I wouldn't wake up. Infection. Organ failure. Words spoken carefully by doctors who avoided promises. I remember drifting in and out, hearing my parents' voices once, faint and impatient, before their footsteps disappeared. Later, when I could finally hold my phone, I saw their social media. Smiling photos. Tagged restaurants. Bright drinks held in steady hands while mine trembled just lifting water. My sister's message sat at the top. The kids already picked their MacBooks, she added. Not how are you feeling? Not are you alive? I stared at the screen until something inside me stopped reaching for them. I blocked her number, without hesitation. The silence that followed wasn't loneliness. It was clarity. The next morning, my phone began ringing again. Dad's name filled the screen. The ringtone drilled into my skull, each vibration pulling against stitches still healing beneath my skin. I let it ring until it stopped, then started again immediately. Dad didn't leave space. He never had. I answered on the fourth call, my voice barely more than breath. Hello. His response came sharp and controlled. Your sister shouldn't suffer because you're emotional. I stared at the heart monitor beside me, its steady rhythm proof I was still here despite everything. I almost died, I said quietly. He exhaled like I'd inconvenienced him. And you didn't. So, let's focus on what matters. What matters? The words echoed in the sterile room, louder than any machine. I remembered signing their mortgage refinance papers 2 years earlier. I remembered covering tuition, groceries, repairs. Each time, they called it temporary. Each time, it became permanent. You're stronger than this, he continued. Don't punish your family. Punish. The nurse stepped inside, checking my IV without looking at me, giving me privacy I hadn't asked for. I'm not punishing anyone, I said. I ended the call before he could answer. Seconds later, a notification appeared. Your automatic mortgage transfer is scheduled tomorrow. I stared at the notification until the words stopped feeling abstract. $11,000. The number looked clinical, stripped of everything it represented. Nights I worked past exhaustion. Promotions I accepted without celebration. Pieces of myself converted quietly into their stability. My thumb hovered over the banking app. The hospital room hummed softly around me, machines doing work my body hadn't been strong enough to finish alone. I remembered the doctor's expression when I woke up. Careful.
Surprised.
You're lucky, she had said. Lucky.
My phone buzzed again.
A new message from Mom. Your father says you're being difficult. This isn't like you. She was right. It wasn't. The version of me they knew would have sent the money already. Would have apologized for worrying them. Would have made their comfort the priority over my survival. I opened the account. Years of transfers lined the screen like quiet confessions. I thought about their restaurant photos. Their steady hands. Their certainty that I would always be there beneath them, holding everything up. My finger moved deliberately. Cancel transfer. The system paused, processing. Then confirmed. Mortgage payment scheduled. Removed. At that exact moment, my phone began ringing again. Dad's name burned across the screen like an accusation already formed. He knew. He had always known exactly when the money moved, as if my existence had been reduced to a predictable transaction. I answered, not because I owed him anything, but because I needed to hear the shift myself. What did you do? He demanded. No greeting. No hesitation. I watched my reflection in the darkened hospital window.
Pale.
Fragile.
Alive.
I stopped paying, I said. Silence followed, heavy and unfamiliar. You don't get to decide that, he replied, his voice tightening. That house depends on you. I almost laughed, but there was no humor in it. Only recognition. That house was never mine, I said quietly. He inhaled sharply. After everything we've done for you. The sentence hung there, waiting for guilt to complete it. But guilt didn't come. Only memory. Forms I signed alone. Bills I covered without acknowledgement. Love measured exclusively in usefulness. "You're being selfish," he said finally. Selfish. The word sounded foreign applied to survival. I closed my eyes briefly. When I opened them, the monitor still confirmed my heart hadn't stopped. "I'm being honest," I said.
He didn't respond.
But I heard something else.
Fear.
Fear didn't sound loud. It lived in the silence between his breaths, in the way he didn't immediately argue. For years, he had relied on certainty. Certainty that I would always stabilize whatever began to crack. "You're overreacting," he said finally, but the conviction was thinner now. I shifted slightly in the bed, pain reminding me how close I had come to disappearing entirely. "No," I answered. "I'm recovering." He didn't like that word. Recovering implied distance. It implied change. "You can't just abandon your family," he continued. I looked down at the four in my arm, the clear liquid entering my bloodstream without asking for anything in return. It wasn't love. It was function. It kept me alive because that was its purpose, not because it needed me. "I didn't abandon anyone," I said. "I stopped abandoning myself." He exhaled sharply, like the sentence offended him. "You'll regret this," he warned. Regret. I had lived inside regret for years. Regret for saying yes too easily. Regret for confusing obligation with belonging. "I don't think I will," I replied. He hung up without another word. Mom called next. I didn't answer. Mom's calls came in waves. Persistent. Rhythmic. Familiar. I let each one pass, watching her name fade from the screen over and over again. It wasn't anger keeping me still. It was something quieter. Something final. A nurse entered, adjusting the blanket around my legs with gentle precision. "Your labs look better," she said softly. "You're stabilizing." Stabilizing. The word felt fragile, like glass held carefully between two hands. After she left, I opened my messages again. Mom had sent a text now. "Your father is very upset. You're putting us in a terrible position." I read it twice. Not "you scared us." Not "we're grateful you survived." Position. I pictured their house. The kitchen I had remodeled. The mortgage tied to my account. Every wall carrying fingerprints of sacrifices they never acknowledged. Another message arrived. "We didn't raise you to be this cold." I stared at that sentence longer than the others. Cold. I remembered lying in this bed alone while they toasted drinks somewhere warm. My fingers moved without hesitation. I blocked her number too. The silence afterward didn't feel empty. It felt like space. Then my doctor walked in, holding unexpected news. She closed the door behind her, holding a thin folder against her chest like it mattered more than routine. Her expression wasn't clinical this time. It was careful. Human. "You should know," she said gently. "Someone else has been covering your financial authorization." I frowned. "What do you mean?" She handed me the folder. Inside were billing records. Payments already processed. Not from my primary account. From somewhere else. My heart stuttered. "I didn't approve this," I whispered. She nodded. "It was arranged in advance. Months ago. Months. Before the infection. Before the hospital. Before everything broke open." I stared at the authorization name printed clearly on the form. My own. Not my checking account. Not the one tied to their mortgage. Another account entirely. The one I had opened quietly. The one they never knew existed. The doctor watched me carefully. "You protected yourself." The words settled somewhere deeper than relief. I remembered the moment I opened that account, the quiet instinct I didn't question. Something inside me had known survival couldn't depend on people who needed me weak. My phone buzzed again.
"Dad."
This time, I answered. His voice sounded different.
Desperate.
"Alara," he said, using my name like it was unfamiliar in his mouth. "The bank called. They said the account is empty." Not empty, I thought. Just unreachable. I stared at the sunlight crawling slowly across the hospital floor, touching everything without asking permission. "You moved the money," he continued. "Why would you do that to us?"
Us.
The word had always excluded me. I didn't move anything, I replied calmly. I stopped making myself available. He inhaled sharply. We could lose the house.
Lose.
The same word doctors had used when discussing me. I remembered lying here alone, wondering if anyone would notice my absence beyond inconvenience. You taught me something important, I said quietly. He didn't interrupt. You taught me survival doesn't mean staying where you're only valued when you're useful. Silence filled the space between us again, but this time it belonged to me. I hope you figured out, I added. Not cruel, not gentle, just true. I ended the call and rested my head back against the pillow, feeling my heartbeat steady and certain. For the first time, my life belonged entirely to me.